I'm Dr. Hagglund, and I'd like to tell you some new things about the disease low thyroid, hypothyroidism, at the same time thyroiditis, and eventually Hashimoto's thyroiditis and all the rest of them. It's a gland that is basically not very well understood by the public. Number two, the gland itself, as it sits here at the base of your neck, is pretty much the gland that's in charge of every single function in your body in a very major way. And it keeps the metabolic rate. It sets the beat. So if you have a 73 billion piece orchestra, okay, just to help you understand it, 73 billion piece orchestra, you need something so that everybody can see how fast to play the music, when to start, when to stop, etc. And that's very important to you, okay? It's very important that you understand that you may go off to a doctor and ask him to check your thyroid after having watched this video and found out that it is normal. When you do that, I want you to know, and this information may not be taken very kindly, that half of the people that are tested by the TSH and by the thyroid studies that are out there get the wrong results. They get results that look and appear to be normal. And you need to be armed with it, because you're the one that's going to suffer. You're the one that's going to have to go to a psychiatrist. You're going to have to go to OBGYN. You're the one that's going to have to go to an internist because of your blood pressure, your achiness, and all the rest of it. You're going to pay the price if you don't understand this. And I'll give you a way out of it. So at the end, you will be able to help yourself understand if you need iodine and or thyroid, because this is about thyroid, and I'll give you a place to get a hold of this stuff so that you can give yourself an opportunity to see what your body does while you are taking adequate amounts of thyroid. It'll be a glandular thyroid. It'll be a thyroid that you can buy across the counter. Now, that can get you like over on third base if you really understand what you're doing. And with all of that success in hand, you'll be a much happier camper. And you may be able to get to your doctor and say, look, I did this anyway. I did this anyway in spite of the normal blood tests. And this is how much better I feel, all right? I'm here to tell you it's not psychological. Please do not understand this as some sort of nurturing of your need to be sick and your need to take care of yourself. This is you fixing your car so that it runs better. That's that. That's what you're entitled to, all right? You look for puffiness. Puffiness around your eyes, puffiness around your face, puffiness in your ankles. When you push on your ankles and the puffiness doesn't go away, like you don't leave a dent there, if you don't leave a dent there, that's low thyroid. If you leave a dent there, that's going to be a problem with body fluid. It could be your heart, it could be your kidneys, it could be that you don't get up and get enough exercise. It's probably that, mostly. But that's another way you can tell if you've got low thyroid. Okay? Now, if you really wanted to get technical, you can kneel on a chair that will hold you, because a lot of my thyroids are like really overweight, and they're puffy, and they retain fluid, and they have bad menstrual cycles, and they don't sleep, and they're constipated. All of those things. You kneel down on the chair and have someone take the fat end of a table knife, take off your shoes, and just tap the tendon on the back of your ankles and see if your foot flips. Usually it won't if you're low thyroid. Well, do you have to do 1,000 of these before you know what you're really doing? No, but it helps. Yeah, and get your 10-year-old or your grandchild or somebody and do the same with them. You can see that the foot will flip. It's like a knee that jerks when you tap on it. You're going to tap on the back of your ankle and do your own thyroid test. That really is important that you do this. You look at your eyes, then you look at your eyebrows. Are they missing on the outer third, out here? A lot of patients say, well, I pluck my eyebrows. That's why I don't seem to have many eyebrows, and they're just not there. And I said, I know you pluck your eyebrows because you don't have any eyebrows out here. And you want these eyebrows in here to match these out here. That's why you pluck them. And they go, yeah, you're right. So I don't look like I've got this little, you know, Nike sign right here, when indeed I should have eyebrows all the way across. All right? Now you've got cold hands and feet. I've told many people that a minister can probably diagnose as many low thyroid patients as I do as you leave church, you know, during June, July, and August, and you shake hands with your minister. Is that hand cold? Is his hand cold, and does he feel your cold hands? Because your left cold hand cannot tell that your right cold hand is cold. Guess why? Because they're both same temperature. Yeah. So take your hand and put it on your forearm or up here on your muscle and see if your hands are cold. This is the big way of getting at your thyroid. Now there's the Broda-Barnes test, which seems to really come forward now, as I see that most of the lab stuff for this is junk, and I'll prove it because now we've got more interesting information why the lab test for thyroid is such a junky thing and not to be tested. All right? So you go ahead and you get yourself into a test for how does it work. You take a glass thermometer, if you still have one. By the way, if you break it, the reason they took them out of circulation is if you break it, the mercury in there is enough to poison, get this folks, a 5,000 square acre lake from one thermometer. Now you understand about the mercury in your teeth? You understand about that innocent grin on somebody's face? Oh, and it does tie into thyroid because all that mercury goes down to your lymphatics, and here's your thyroid gland. Where do you think it drains through? And what do you think mercury does to the gland? But anyway, you get yourself a thermometer, and you shake it down over your bed, because when it flips out of your hand and crashes on the bathroom floor, you got a mess and you got mercury to pick up. Don't take a chance. All right. In the morning, when you first get out of bed, be sure that thing has been shaken down the night before. Put it under your arm. Sit there and wait. Wait a couple of 3 minutes. Take it out and look at it. Now, Dr. Barnes spent over 2,000 tests, and each one of these tests took 6 hours, called a basal metabolism rate, and it was a special box. I've seen one of them. Never did the test, but I've seen them. It's that long ago. He says that that morning temperature under your arm is absolutely as good as the basal metabolism box, which means, hey, if you're cold in the morning, it's because you don't have enough thyroid to keep your energy up during the night and burning so that you will be a warm critter. 97.6 is what it should be. So if it's 96, okay, if it's 94, you shook the thermometer down too far, and that's not you. You're not going to be 94. Do it again. Okay, so that's your big test on low thyroid. Next, as I say, if you rush off and go get a blood test, this is why I don't like the darn things. If they miss half the people out of hand, okay, and 15 years ago they missed 3/4 of the people out of hand because the numbers were wrong. The numbers were actually determined by statistical techniques, not by interviewing patients, not by doing physical exams on them. They just took all the people who showed up to have a marriage blood test, and they took what their thyroid level was, and then they did a statistical analysis on it, and they said that's what the normal TSH should be. Ah, come on, fellas. That's worse. I mean, your 7th grade teacher would never let that get into the science fair. That's really bad science. But that's how they determined what normal thyroid would be. Oh, and there's a bunch of other blood tests that are about the same. Okay, but anyway, that's why the TSH is such an important test, but you need to know why it's such a bugger. Next, the thyroid stimulating hormone, which is what TSH stands for, comes from up here in your brain. When you don't have enough thyroid, you can't make enough TSH. And when the TSH is low, it's read by your doctor to mean that you got too much thyroid. That's no good. Okay? If you're mathematically inclined, you understand something called a reciprocal, meaning as one goes down, the other is up. So if I take a blood test on you, and I know that your one thyroid level is high, I know that it's high, I should be able to look at your TSH and find that it's low. Well, I called my local pathologist, clinical pathologist, and said, I don't believe I'm getting all these fake tests because I find normal thyroid levels in the bloodstream, and I find the TSHs are low or they don't correlate and everything. He said, oh heck, we gave up doing all those tests a long time ago. They're that bad. This is what goes on behind the scenes. They're that bad. The only one we really trust is the TSH. Well, I'm going to tell you that there are reasons not to trust it. And you can do this temperature test by Dr. Barnes, or you can do what we call the gold standard of medicine. Sit down and listen to the patient long enough, he will tell you the diagnosis. Examine the patient, and if you do a good job of it, you got the answer. That's rule number 2. Rule number 3, okay, is order some lab tests to see if it backs up your first 2 opinions. That's it, not the other way around. When you're in an office and you've got 7 minutes to talk to a patient, meet and greet and move to the next one, and you snap off and go, okay, we'll just take a thyroid test on you, bye. You did it just the opposite, and you violated the cardinal gold standard of medicine, which is listen to your patient, examine your patient, and believe in that. And then get some lab tests if you want to know how bad, or you need a marker to see how you're doing, or just to see if the lab is right. Okay, and I want you to know this because your thyroid levels are very important to you and very important to me. Now, Dr. Starr in there will also tell you that the T3 that's running around in your bloodstream, which tells your TSH what level to be at, is contaminated. And yet it tells your TSH, okay, it tells your TSH that everything is fine, don't worry, but the T3 running around in your bloodstream is contaminated. It's a lot of science, but I'm going to tell you, it's contaminated with bromine, which makes the T3 in your bloodstream useless. It's contaminated with chlorine, and that makes the T3 in your bloodstream and your cells useless. And it's contaminated with fluoride, and that makes your TSH test useless and the T3 running around in your body, and it's contaminated with mercury. Now, if you go to court and you present evidence, and that evidence is proven to be flawed, you make a motion. The motion is throw the evidence out, tell the jury to disregard it, and we will continue on with the trial. I'm inviting you to consider that when you're told that you've got a normal TSH and normal thyroid studies and you still got all these symptoms I've been talking about. What do? Well, get a hold of our site. In there we will show you how to get a hold of something called detoxified iodine, and we will get you in touch with a wonderful product that I have substituted into my patients called ThyroPack, and we will tell you how to take it. Do I want to put it here on this tape? Heck no. We want you to have all of the instructions on how to do this. And we want you to know that it is correlated with the product that I've been using for better than a couple of years now. Thank you.